How y'all doing today? Welcome to I'm a Data podcast. It's been a little while, guys, since I've been out here on this platform. I'm actually going to school, working on other different projects. But this project is very important to me, so I want to make sure that I come back and to revisit um, my baby, I'm a data. And our topic today is actually reconnect to purpose. This actually brings me to this platform, brings me back here to speak about my purpose and the things I've been doing. So throughout the years, I've been working in different platforms, working in nonprofit sectors, we're working in the advocacy sectors as well. Been dipping and dabbing and definitely looking into the political realms that's out here and actually looking to see I'm born into the world and actually like what I got myself into, being in the world and reflecting on my participation, directly and indirectly in the direction that I actually seek to go in my life. So through this componency, I'm learning, that I have to find that connector always in my life, to always be a part of who I am, and to not basically minimize my purpose and minimize why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, but recognizing the things that I'm doing is according to the purpose of my doings. And this is really profound and to see, like, my shirt here is Clothes Rockers Island. And the purpose of Clothes Rockers Island is, as you see on the shirt, is to decarcerate, defend, divest, and to redistribute. So all the harm that's associated to Rikers Island economically will actually go back into rebuilding the communities that was actually harmed by this economical system that actually portrays itself as a criminal justice hero in a sense. My purpose to reconnect is to actually close rockets or any other harmful systems that come on my path while in its existence. And this is what's important to me. I done worked in entities and you're looking at the economics, you're looking at the finances that they're paying you. And then you're looking at the purpose of your life and seeing how those things correlate and what actually lights your fire. What's that fire in the belly that you need to get out of bed in the morning, to spring forth, to challenge different normacies that's in your life to ensure that you become this great phenomenal aspect for your own development. When you look for hope or you're looking for insight or you're trying to find purpose, do you go inward or do you go outward? Right? How do you purpose yourself? How do you prioritize the life of you and who you are and what you can represent for you? Because you can represent the world. You can go out there and represent the world. But how does it increases you? How does it move you from one angle actually to the next? I'm very curious. I don't see I have any followers on this today because I just popped back out and, dealing with a lot of social media platforms. You have to have a lot of patience and a lot of insight on algorithms, on how people, belief systems, value systems, moving into cultures. So when you move in purpose and you're reconnecting yourself to your purpose or finding your purpose, do the research of that purpose that you're actually seeking. Like, see if people really are connected, to what you're trying to do, and find out who's going to be your supporters, who's going to be your deniers, right? Understand the playing field that you're playing on, so when you hit the ball, you know where the base is at, right? You don't want to be out here and just doing whatever, and there's no destiny, right? Like Earl Nightingale said it, that without a destiny, any ship that's in the sea, it's going to sink, right? So you have to have a destiny because, once the ship runs out of fuel and everything like that, what's going to keep it, from not going under? So the world is that we got to realize that the purposes that we have comes with another layer of purposes that we have to go and research to understand. Like today, I wrote an article, and my article, is based on an organization that I'm fond of, and I work with on many different occasions, called Freedom Agenda. And I was just inspired to write this article because I'm seeing the work that they're doing, and I'm seeing the traction that they make in society, but I'm also seeing my connectivity with them. How I'm responsible when I link myself to different organizations. What is my input if I go into a nonprofit? Am I become a worker? Am I a leader? Am I a change agent? Am I an advocate for a cause, or am I an advocate for an organization within itself? And this life that I'm living, because I want to live a good life, I want to have the best of the best, I guess, like everybody else. What is the cost of that? Like, what do I have to sacrifice within myself to actually embrace a lot of the economical blessings that actually come into this world? So when you're looking at systems and you're looking at structures, like even when I was doing my master in public administration, my professor was Professor Ford. And Professor Ford, he focused on organizational culture and organizational development. And one of my assignments for Professor Ford was that I actually had to research a particular organization and find out the core of that organization, what that organization is about. And as I started doing my research and I started running into new articles, I realized that the organization was under indictment, that many people had went to prison because there was a lot of fraud that was going on, and the organization was creating a lot of shell companies, and it was a nonprofit organization that was actually doing this. And maybe like 60 or 70 people were indicted due to this elaborate scheme. And I would say to myself, imagine that I was a part of that organization. And imagine I was on like the bottom of that organization. And that organization just got uprooted like that, right? The work that I was doing and the purpose of that work associated to that organization, is that work still meaningful? Is it meaningful to me that the organization got uprooted? Or is it still meaningful to the organization even though they got uprooted? When we link ourselves to a purpose, we need to understand that that purpose is a part of who we are, and that is going to breathe life back into us. Any purpose that we actually strive for that does not breathe life back into us, that does not make sure that we are the essentialness of our cause, it's actually a betrayal against us. It's an element of our lives that we have actually introduced ourselves to that is not there to increase us. So there's times when we'll take all our energy and all our power to seek a purpose. It's like when I was young, when I had my crafty lifestyle when I was, and I would do things to obtain money. And many of my other friends too, we actually go out there in the community and we'll cause havoc and we'll try to find different creative ways to make money. And most of those ways was, once I got to a certain age, they was harmful. But when I was young, when I was like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, before I ran into particular people in my community under those levels of influences at that young age, I was, packing bags, pitching quarters. I was doing different things. And my purpose at that time was just basically to have money in my pocket and to help my little sisters at the time, because my mother was going through some severe changes economically. So I was basically in a position where I had to actually, fend and take care of myself. And, it always made it seem like the money was so, so, so important. A lot of my friends, they thought it was important. And then it was a shift. I started realizing, after a lot of repercussions that actually took place against me as well as others, that money was not all that was cracked up to be. That money was not the reason for one to strive for a purpose. That money was not the end to all, or it's not going to save you in all totalities and all aspects of life. I have friends that, passed away from us. If you was able to go back and to revisit those friends and to ask them, milliseconds before this action was taken against them, this judgment was taken against them, would they rather live or would they rather die for the money? And I think because of my prison experiences that many people would say I would rather live. They won't come to the money part because life is more essential than money, but we do not understand that life is more essential to money, and so we have to lose our lives for this money in so many different ways. We have to give up our value systems, our belief systems, our integrity, our morals, right? Which is something that's actually being recapped and recapped and recapped when we're going through YouTube or other social media platforms dealing with P. Combs and his violation against men and women in the industry that were seeking to have a greater purposeful life according to their purpose, which is actually music and being in an artistic form. He actually manipulated those people and took advantage of those people and misused a lot of those people for their purpose. And then people was like, I'm going to do what I got to do because, this is my purpose and I need to have economics. So because this is my purpose and I need to have economics, now individuals are actually able to have some type of stronghold against me. Right? So I was reading, and if anybody understands the Bible, I was reading the Apocrypha, and I was in one of the scriptures, Ecclesiasticus. And it was something that actually popped out to me, and I just want to mention it because of this P. Combs thing and because of the art of influence that people have over you when they have access to your purpose and when they're able to dissuade your purpose in one way or another, right? They were saying that be sure not to link yourself to someone that is more powerful than you, because that individual would take you and rend you to pieces and have their way with you and then discard you once they're finished. But it also mentioned that make sure that you do not subject yourself to those that are richer than you, because they will actually come, and look at this, they will actually come and take your ideas. And after they take your ideas, they will discard you. And when you come to them and say, yo, man, that was my idea, they'll laugh you to scorn and they'll keep walking. And it's crazy because this is in scripture. This was actually created way before I was born, right? And and now we're in the 21st century, a book that was actually created centuries ago, and it's still relevant right now to this. Our purposes define us. They define us. There's no question. There's no question about it. But our purposes also allow others to define us as well. It also allows others to have their way with us if we are not strong enough or conscientious enough, what I'm saying, to navigate around harmful systems that saying if you don't do this, then you will not reach your purpose. So we're in a time frame where we know that our purpose is essential. It is important. However, we have to protect it. And we have to make sure that we do not become subjective to that purpose to the point where even though we have accumulated this wealth and this power, that in 20 years from now, we're not going to be happy. That life is going to seem like a mirage. Like I used to be that person. I used to do that. I used to have this. I used to have that. And, you're looking at men that's getting, sued for different things that they was doing against people in those industries. And then you'll look back 5, 10, 20 years later, and you look forward 5, 10, 20 years later and say, wow, those individuals are no longer on that prominent level because the purposes that they was actually projected in the world wasn't conducive to the purposes that they was actually connected with this society. Just want to let that sink in for a minute. Pay attention to that. Okay. So as we venture, into new terrains and as we, seek out new aspects for life, right? We have to make sure that we place these things, right? Mind, body, and soul. We have to ensure that it moves us more than anything else in the world, and that we are paying attention to the rooms that we're in, who we're in the room with, and how we're being cultivated or denied according to our purpose and what our stance is. Right? So I might go into a space and I'm like wearing this shirt right here, closed rockets. But it's like when I was outside the other day and I was handing out flyers, closed rockets, and I was actually showing that Rockets Island was accumulating over $1 billion a year, right, in administrative fees that can go back into the 5 boroughs in our communities, and that Rikers Island is actually charging the federal government over $500,000 annually per incarcerated person. It just made me understand, like, wow, this world here is so crafty, you know. And then I ran into a man, and he basically was like, I deny what you're saying. I deny that they should close Rikers Island. They should not close Rikers Island. And I was like, why? And he was like, well, you know, I work with juveniles, and you can see the stuff that juveniles doing to one another. So they should be incarcerated in a way. He was actually trying to say, like, the carceral system is a solution to curb violence in our communities. The carceral system is also a solution that actually addresses the lack of economics that actually flow through some of our communities as well. The carceral system is our parent, is the ultimate guardian, the ultimate parent of us, right? And it's used as a chastising tool without the rehabilitation aspects attached to it. And works with juveniles, which means he works for a nonprofit organization, which means that the work that he's doing 9 times out of 10 is associated to the nonprofit, which actually limits a lot of our power in bringing forth change. So as we seek to bring forth change in life, and we link ourselves to things or entities that deem us basically powerless, how is it then that we're actually moving and thriving in our purpose if we could become powerless by entities that we connect ourselves to? So as you go into organizations, you know, if you're a case manager, you have limited power. If you're a supervisor, you have some type of power. If you're a director, you have a little more power than the basic supervisor. And then you go into an executive director and up and up. And as you go up and up, 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 it's more power at the top of the tree than it is at the bottom of the tree. But the root comes from the bottom of the tree, and it doesn't come from the top of the tree. But the top of the tree, metaphysically, has become the root within society. The CEO, the one entity that's on the top, because the CEO is a one entity. It's not multifaceted. It's only one entity. So the CEO is at the top of this tree, and their branches, the roots, the bark, the branches, everything looks up to the CEO. And then we, like, oh my God, it's you. You are the savior of this organization. You are the savior of these people. You're going to do these magnificent things to bring forth all these different changes. It is you, right? But metaphysically, that doesn't even exist. There's no roots at the top. There's no roots at the top. The roots is at the bottom, right? It's the core, right? So when we navigating through this, when we see different systems and the way that these systems act, according to my spiritual awareness and calculation, I see that one entity cannot be stronger than many. But because of the way that they have created this system, this is now our storybook. Our storybook now is to be the CEO, to aspire to that's on top of the tree. And as we get to this aspiration, we have arrived, we have made it, and we have brought forth ourselves in this new era, right? And you know what I'm saying, instead of looking at the root or the cause of the problem, why we even formed this nonprofit in the first, even be a CEO in a nonprofit that actually is addressed to harm, right? So now we got to ask ourselves the question: how long should we look up to the CEO, and how long should we deny the root of the cause that actually allowed us even select someone to actually be over this, to actually be an overseer? Because that's basically what it is. It's just the CEO is an overseer of the work that's being done, but they have changed the context of it to the point where now I have to look up to the CEO and say, this person here is phenomenal. They have done amazing things. This is the reason why they became a CEO. the CEO of a company. I'm aspiring to be a CEO of a nonprofit organization, because I know once I get a CEO plateau, that people are going to look up to me and say, hey, there go the CEO of the company, right? But I've never linked myself to a nonprofit, especially in the beginning of my work, which is within prison system, which started in basically like the year 1998, 1999. I never said to myself, I want to go to this organization because I want to be CEO of the organization. It never crossed my mind. What did cross my mind is that, I want to associate myself to places that will bring forth change, and that some of the systemic harm that I experience, I would seek to relieve my brothers and sisters of. So I would link myself to this purpose, and that I believe at that time will actually give me purpose. But now when I go into certain structures, the purpose that I have is at the bottom of the totem pole, and association to the purpose of the places I actually go to. So you may go into a place with a purpose and leave out without a purpose, and then you have to restart and rekindle who you are. You have to reconnect to who you are, and then you have to find that that you had before to actually allow you to continue to move forward. So if you is able to determine the roots cause of why you started something, or why you connected yourself to something, then therein lies that purpose. If you're not able to identify that and to isolate that, then actually there's no purpose there. What is the cause? What is the root cause? If I went into, like, say, a supermarket, what is the purpose of going to a supermarket? Hopefully I have some money or some coupons, right? And I'm going there to pick up particular items, for my household. Hopefully, so I can feed myself or my family if I have a family, right? Maybe I'm picking up, food for homeless people. Maybe I'm doing some philanthropist work in the community. I don't know. You don't know, but the purpose of actually going into is actually make a purchase. I believe so. The supermarket is not a sightseeing place, right? It's only for food, right? Or items that you want to buy, like pots and pans or whatever. So it's the same way when we go into a nonprofit, when we go into a new purpose of being an author or a writer or a singer or a dancer or a motivator or a speaker, or a change agent, or a nonprofit professional, right? These entities of why we went into these places must be definitive aspects to us. We must be able to identify and to continue to identify what that purpose and what that actual purpose means. Once we lose the identification of that purpose, it becomes purposeless. And then we're just moving around like a ship in a sea without a destination. So reconnecting to your purpose is actually knowing that even if you're still doing the work that you're doing, reconnect to that work in a way where actually it will increase your awareness on what you have been doing, analyze what you have been, why you came there, what you have been doing, and what you can do further. Or if the work you've been doing there is no longer valid, is no longer that purpose for you, then you have to find ways to actually shift out of dynamics that are not increasing you to that level. There is no quick fixes. I've always said this in all of my podcasts, no quick fixes. It's actually, you have to work really hard in understanding your purpose, isolate that purpose, and then start playing the game. Start putting everything in alignment. This is all about strategic planning now. Our purposes are connected to strategic planning about us. It's our core values. It's our belief systems. It's our moralistic compass. These are our purposes. These things is what lead us to our purpose. Our understandings, our teachings. The knowledge that we have obtained through experiential learning or well as through observation, right? So our purposes take place for many different reasons and at many different times. And those purposes, they have a tendency sometimes to shift, from one side to next, right? And shift again and then shift again. And a lot of time when those shifts come, we may not be prepared for that shift. So it's like a car accident, right? No one's prepared for a car accident, right? And when the car get hit, everybody just, oh my God, oh, they're trying to hold on, they're trying to do what they got to do to survive, you know what I mean, during this car accident, because it just took them for a loop. So this is what happens a lot of times when we in positions in life and we get shift and we're not prepared for the shift, it would take us for a loop. And then we'll find ourselves in a space of unawareness. We find ourselves in a space of denial and saying, like, what have I been doing, right? But this is when you have the opportunity to refocus, the opportunity to like really look at what's going on with you so you can land on a healthy plateau. I speak about this through experience. I also speak about this, through the aspect of change, because we're constantly in the space of change. And we seek to know more about our lives, every day, right? Every day we seek to know more about our lives. We seek to bring changes into our lives by learning about who we are and having the power, to be who we are. Learning, about our purpose is actually ours. Right? And so as we move through, we have to understand that, we are in this for the long haul, right? There is no quick fix, there is no instant gratification. Our purposes, sometimes they increase, but sometimes they also diminish. But when they diminish, that means that there's a renewal of spirit that must take place. Renewal of the mind is a renewal of the heart that has to take place, and this is why it has diminished. Or like times, even when you go into the Bible and stuff like that, when men finish the task, the Most High would take them from the whirlwind. The task is over. So sometimes we don't know when a task is over, when it's time to stop a certain thing or stop position ourselves in a certain way, right? Or stop connecting ourselves to something that's actually not elevating us and moving to the next level, right? And my pursuit of, just being a nonprofit, just working, or just, I want money, whatever, is not strong enough as a purpose for me to continue to I just want to be here just for this thing. No, my purpose within myself is to bring forth change on a humanistic level, because I've been harmed so many times humanistically, but I've also seen life many times when humanistic principles are at the forefront of change, that I believe that my humanistic values are imperative in this time, that they are essential in this time, and that many entities in this world requires my physical, my basically physical and my spiritual compass of bringing forth change. And also believe that there's others that's out there that's going to be there to help me to bring forth change as well. And they're going to help me to understand who I am, to do more, to be more, to inspire more, and to live more. And your purpose is life. That's your purpose. Your purpose is life. Let me put that in the chat. You can look at it later. Right? It is the life of you. So as you're going through your purpose, embrace it, right? Because it's a life for you. Embrace it. Get to know it, right? Enjoy it. Cry over it. Fast over it. Pray over it. Sing over it. Dance over it. Meditate over it, right? Do what you got to do to understand more about your purpose. You know what I'm saying? Why you're here and doing the things that you're doing. If it's economics, I don't know. American dollar is like 3 cents right now. So if it's economic, just make sure that, when you get $1, it's only 3 cents to accumulate billions of those so you can get, enough money to spend on the things that you want to spend it on, right? But the cultivation of life and the change of life itself is our purpose. Walking your purpose, guys. Thanks for being here. This concludes our I'm a Data podcast for today. And I was so happy to do this today, and I look forward to us building the future. Have a great day. Reach out.